Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today our group Muhammad Hazim and Muhammad Hamka will present about Muslim contribution in geography and map making. So we include 4 scholars or figures in our video. First of all, Al-Muqaddasi, second Ibnu Majid, Ibnu Battuta, and also Al-Idrisi. So first of all, we move to introduction. So basically, Islamic geography and map making was begun in the 8th century, which is but the extensive exploration and navigation during 9th until 12th century. Within this period, the exploration about geography and also, as we can see, map making and also journey during this century. It also including journey across the Muslim world as addition into the region like China, South Asia, and also Southern Africa. Muslim scholars such as Al-Maqdisi, Ibnu Majid, Al-Idrisi, and Ibnu Battuta, and other scholars that involved in this area give a huge contribution toward the scientific area, and it show that Muslim contribution in this part was a very large and wide, and it also contribute to the world. So first we move to Al-Muqaddasi. He was born in Palestine on 945 Masihi. His contribution are very huge, especially on geographical studies and mapping. The huge contribution of him, he produced maps from black and white colors into the colorful maps, so we can say as natural colors. Very popular books and his writing, which is Ahsan at-Taqasim, and he also the man who introduced the longitude and latitude system. He also was very popular with the astrolabe and also the nautical part, and he know how to use binoculars and also the astronomy measurement, and it make very wide into this area, and his involvement in this area were very popular and wide. So we move to his books, which is Ahsan at-Taqasim. This book was written by Al-Muqaddasi in the late of 10th century. This book was a personal observation of his population, economics, life, and land at the place he visited, such as Palestine and Eastern Arabia. Eastern Arabia, which is located nowadays in Oman and UAE borders and some parts of Saudi Arabia. The narrative style organized like a modern ethnography essay, which is follow the timeline between 9th to 12th century. He also measured and approximately on the area of the land and distance from area to area that he visited. So, and he also observing on the topography, environment, construction, architecture, language, religion, and the culture of the area he visited. For example, if he visited some of the Muslim country at that region, he will observe and try to investigate this element. So technically, Al-Muqaddisi divide the Islamic world in 14 regions, and he divided his work into 2 parts. For example, for the first time is the approaching the localities, and also he provide the adequate discipline and description of each region. Secondly, after they do the first part, he moved to the second part. He tried to investigate and observe the culture, the social groups, the ethnicity, and also the political culture at there. So next we move to Ibnu Majid. Ibnu Majid was born in Oman on 1432 Masihi. He is a father of navigation, and also he created a modern compass. He was a very specialized in oceanography, especially in Indian Ocean, and he also one of the people and scholars that changed the compass into the round shape, which is a very light and also very easy to carry. His most important work was a Kitab Al-Fawaid fi Usul Ilmu Al-Bahri wa Il-Qawaid, or in English we call as a book of useful information on the principles and rules of navigation. And he was the navigator that helped Vasco da Gama in his journey from Africa to India within the Indian Ocean. So this Kitab Al-Fawaid fi Usul Ilm Al-Bahri wa Il-Qawaid, this book was told us about the history and the basic rules of navigation, and also it contains about the lunar mentions, ram lines, variation between the coastal and open sea shipping, all about the navigation part, and also the journey in the ocean. As we know, here's oceanography, and this book also shows the location of ports from East Africa to Indonesia, and then there's the star position and monsoon and other seasonal winds records, and hurricane and other topics that experience for the explorers. And this book is very relevant until now. He also described when the good time to sailing in order to avoid monsoon. As we know, he was very expert in monsoon knowledge, and he also experienced his journey between Jeddah and also Suez. He also goes in the journey and very expert in oceanography, and he went to Aydab, which is in the Egyptian region. And other his work is like Utjuza, which is contain the same subject. And these two scholars was a very big scholars that contribute inside the map making and also geography. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Hamka, and for my part I will speak about another two Muslim scholars that have great contributions in geography and map making. The first scholar is Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta is one of the best known figures in Arab geography and holds his reputation to the extent of his travels. He was born in 1304 at Tangier, Morocco. Ibn Battuta, as an Arab traveller, has written the Rihlah, which is based on his travels in Africa and Asia. During some 30 years, he covered a linear distance of about 75,000 miles, which in the 14th century has been holding a world record. He presented his geographical observations concerning Sahara as well as other parts of the world which he had been visiting formerly. Moreover, he has presented an overall information of India's wealth and old culture. His accounts gave us natural and native images of those areas and their peoples. It will be considered of being applied in some of the geographical studies. In describing a desert landscape, Ibn Battuta has mentioned about Tawad and its suburb involving that the soil is all sandy and salt marsh, and the food inhabitants will be dates and locusts. This statement of him will give us the feature and culture of a desert area, which could be applicable for the related research. To explain some regional climate, Ibn Battuta pointed out that the climate along the equator was less extreme than the climate in the North Africa. This will be considered as a scientific explanation. We move on to the second slide. For the second slide, considering the sea voyages of Ibn Battuta, it has been comprehended that the Muslims' domination existed widely and it was prevailing on the Red Sea, Indian Ocean and the Chinese waters. To be sure, it should be appreciated for the contribution of Ibn Battuta to visualize the geographical extension of Islam all over the known world of his time. Ibn Battuta has been considered factually as the only medieval traveller who is known to have visited the lands of every Muslim ruler of his time. Furthermore, he studied about Islam's philosophy and theological ideas, which have been so encouraging for his contribution in the history of geographical discoveries. The contribution of Ibn Battuta to Muslim geography is also valuable of being noted. Regarding this matter, that Muslim geography of the Middle Ages was based on the gathering of all possible geographical data. The role of travelers will be appreciated upon the subject. Obtaining a result of the Islamic travelers' writings and the early geographers, regional geography is the best known aspect of the Arabic geographical science in the Middle Ages. This will reconfirm Ibn Battuta's role as the greatest contributor to the Muslim regional geography. Next, for the next scholars, Al-Idrisi, a royal advisor sent on a mission to create a world map. Al-Idrisi created one of the most studied works of map-making and geography. Centuries before digital navigation apps put global maps at our fingertips, people relied on the work and research of scholars and cartographers to illustrate the world. One of the most famous cartographers to publish early maps of the world was Arab Muslim geographer, traveller and scholar Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Idris al-Sharif al-Idrisi, or simply known as Al-Idrisi. Al-Idrisi's book, The Execution of the One Who is Eager to Traverse the Regions of the World, is known as one of the great works of medieval geography and cartography. Little is known about Al-Idrisi's life. It is likely he was born in Sabtah in modern Morocco, now known as Ceuta, around 1100 century. Al-Idrisi is believed to be a descendant of the Islamic prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He attended the university in Cordova, Spain, and traveled throughout North Africa, Europe's Mediterranean region, and Spain. In 1145, Al-Idrisi became an advisor to King Roger II of Sicily. Roger II hired Al-Idrisi to create an updated world map. Al-Idrisi sent travelers and geographers around the world to gather knowledge for this updated map and others. The fruit of this initiative, the execution of one who is eager to traverse the regions of the world, was completed in 1154, shortly before the king's death. The finished product included a text illustrating the geographic findings and a collection of 70 maps that included the world north of the equator. Al-Idrisi's work was translated into Latin and studied globally. In conclusion, Muslim contributions towards geography and mapping resulted to new information that benefited today's society. Those great voyages of the oceans, including the world's expedition and the discovery of the Americas, led to a Western understanding of the Earth as a globe comprising all the main continents. That's all from Hazim and me. Thank you.